working. When you call me, they call me. What? Me, I can even use my phone to do all these things. Allows you to access photos, but I don't know if it can appear on the projector. That's just the issue. That's just eh. Una do this way. So. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Cadmus.
Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, ma. Where over?
Thank you.
Yes, ma.
Welcome, Cadmus. Welcome, Mommy Costa. Welcome, Dr. Oko. My mama is in the house. Mommy MM, welcome.
Happy World Peace Day to all of you there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Our eyes, Benin.
Thank you, Chief.
Finish fine.
Doc.
Yes, Chief.
Afternoon. Let's take the one where other people do. You understand? Like this one. No. This one is okay because nowhere when brother come out for come on this one. With the one where mother come out. You understand? You can make this one bigger, then put that one where the mother did. It be like there where she and that's the girl and the mother and father. Just put so that because even this one they okay. You understand what I mean? Uh,
We are so sorry we are starting at this time. We are waiting for the community women to be settled. I want to thank everybody that is present here right now. Welcome, Mommy Costa, Dr. Oko, and Mommy Regina. I see you. I thank you all for coming. We are just going to start. Building stands for climate justice and resilience against extractivism. That is why we are gathered here today. And we have in the house Filipino women who are going to, Mommy Princess, I see you, you're welcome. I welcome all participants that are here. I thought I saw our mother, our mentor, William. Maybe she's out to do one or two things. We are going to be fast, I promise. Before we start, we want to look at what we are here for. We need to understand the reason we are here. We are going to be talking about the building of community stands for climate justice and resilience against extractivism. And when we are talking about building community stands for climate justice and the resilience against extractivism, we are creating a collective and united front in addressing the negative impact of climate change and the harmful practices of extractive industries. Are we together, please? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you, thank you. I want to be sure that everybody can hear me. And when we also talk about the practices of the harmful practice of extractive industries, this involves creating a shared understanding of the importance of protecting the environment, promoting social justice, and building resilience against the adverse effects of climate change. To build these stands, communities need to engage in dialogue, education, and advocacy to raise awareness and mobilize action. This can involve organizing community meetings, which we are doing here today, workshops and campaigns that focus on issues such as the impact of extractive industries on the environment and human rights, the need of renewable energy, and the importance of building resilience in communities and building resilient communities too. And here we'll be taking, talking about the Gelegele community. So today we are going to be training the women from that are in Gelegele community on resilience against extractivism, and also require collaboration and solidarity among other communities and organizations that are here and stakeholders that are here to work together with Bolekro Women Empowerment and Development Organization, GWEDO, and also to collaborate to advocate for policy changes and supporting each other's efforts to build sustainable and just community. Thank you. Without further ado, we are just going to go straight because we are far behind time. Like I said, here we have you can see the community women are seated here. Are we there? Can you see the community women, please? Hello? Are we in the house?
Yes, we can see them.
All right.
See them. They are white blouses.
Yes, you can see the community women, they are seated to listen to our facilitators who are already here with us. And we have a meeting agenda. And like I said, it's going to be engaging, it's going to be interactive. We are not going to waste time because we do not really have time. Thank you, Ma, for joining us. We just received Madam Enem. Our mentor. My capacity today is being built, was built by Madam Enem. Without her, I cannot be as bold as I am today. So we are going to welcome our facilitators that are here with us. We have Mommy Constance, as I mentioned their name, please just start clapping your hands for them. Let's welcome Mommy Constance as one of our trainees that is going to train the women here, that is going to talk to us. Let's also welcome Dr. Ofo. She's also here. Let them hear you loud and clear as you clap. Let's also welcome our UC. Is no other person than my own brother, Cadmus. Cadmus, you are welcome. I see you. And then I also want to welcome, I hope Glory is in the house. I welcome Glory. Let's also welcome Mr. Sumo and our own dear sister, Mrs. Grace Overkin. Welcome. Now, I am going to be introducing the GWEDO community. The GWEDO community is a small community and is in an extractive community that has been flaring gas since 1966. And the women in that community have been marginalized. Before we kick off, some of the women are going to be sharing their stories, their experiences on climate change and also climate justice. As you listen, please just stay tuned. Thank you. We are going to be calling on Mrs. Mary Fidega to give us her experience and her story. She's going to be sharing her story.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mary Fidega. My name is Mary Fidega. I want to talk about climate change concerning our community, the GWEDO community. In that community, we having a company called big oil company. They are there flaring gas. We have been going there to dry our clothes. We have been going there to dry our evil pepper. When we pluck pepper, we go there to dry it in a quick way. We have been going there to dry our tapioca, this cocoa gari, thinking that we are doing the best. Unknown to us that by doing so, we are endangering our life. Until GWEDO come to the GWEDO community, educate us, tell us about the danger of what we are doing in that GWEDO community. Unknown to us that we are drying all those things, thinking that we are using it to help ourselves. We don't know that we are using all those things to destroy ourselves. That is what we experience. But since GWEDO come, teach us, educate us, tell us about the danger of all those things that we are doing, it makes us to get awareness that those things is not good for our heads. That make us to stop to be doing all those things with the help of the GWEDO. And in that GWEDO community, because of the climate change, we do not understand, but through the GWEDO, we understand the meaning of the climate change. And that climate change the GWEDO help us to know that climate change is the one that will build us, that will help us. Most of the time we experience different sickness, different disease, like rashes in our body, like itches in our body. There are many diseases that we have experienced in that community. If you want to talk about the area of the river, and since the oil community, the oil producing GWEDO start to operate in that community there, we see that they come there after their oil pollute our river. People don't say we go to the river, we don't get anything. Before it's not so. No fish, even the farm products, our farm, our grass, everything die every day by day. There's no good water for us to drink. And before, when we go to the water, we fresh water and drink. But now, there's no good water for us. We go to river, no fish. That is the experience you have been passing through in that community.
That's one of the women from Gelegele who is just trying to share her experience due to gas flare. We are going to be calling on another of our sister, Mabel. She's also going to share her experience.
So what I experienced for that Gelegele community? When this Gelegele community come, and they smoke, like the oil company, and they like now just say 7 years. So before they manage, then one time like that, walk come, we can't go. So later when he come now, as he come now, they can say they can sell them for people. So because the time of that time we suffer a lot because of that 1 year. Every time our mothers, the carers, they go say, light don't come. My father, that time my father still there. So no say when this thing come now, the oil don't come. They're not even they look us at all. They're not they give us anything. So we need help from them because we suffer a lot for that Gelegele community. So we need something from that Gelegele community. They empower women, empower youth. Now me, I just the talk. So and that one I know the experience when I know I do that.
And the last person we are going to call here is Doris Obi to share her experience.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Doris Obi from the Gelegele community. Gelegele community is a riverine area in Obiang North, government in Edo State. Gelegele community is a small community. We have it's an Ijaw speaking community. We are Ijaw people that we are known as an Ijaw people. We have fishermen, we have the farmers. I'm one of the fisherwomen. I'm one of the farmers. I have a farm and I have my fishing instruments. Wow. But most of them have been destroyed. Why? Because of the production of the oil in the river. When I was small, in the early 80s, let me tell you, we used to drink from that water. We have a place called Calapo. That place is very small, but the water is cheap. When you are feeling heat, you go to that place, you cool yourself. But as I'm talking to you present now, you cannot go to that place and say, you want to dip your leg inside that water. Not to talk about to drink from that water. As of that time that we were small, when we were in the primary school, we used to drink from the river water. We go there and fish. And as of that time, let me tell you, when the city people we engage in this Nigeria, as of that time, it was former Bende State, not Edo State. We used to drink from even the river water. But as I'm talking to you, you cannot even drink from that river water because when you take from that river water, I believe we have malaria, cholera, name them. And Gelegele community have a gas flare there, which is brought by oil company. They're flaring gas there. But they don't even mind whether the people that are there, they can, whether they need food, they need water or not. When Philip was in that community, it wasn't so. But ever since that, the black man took over, the community does not remain the same. Things begin to decrease in that Gelegele community. You see the gas flare that they are flaring in that place is spoiling our zinc, spoiling our farmland, destroying the river. At first, when our mothers were alive, it is from that river that they will go and fish. They will bring fishes that will enable them to serve, but they will buy food, enough food source as well, buy clothes for us. Even though there was free education as of that time, there are still little money that they used to pay for their children at school. They cover all those things. Then now, as I'm talking to you, you cannot go to that river and you say you are depending on fish to train your children. I tell you, your heart will fail you. Why? Because the gas flare has destroyed our river. The gas flare has destroyed our farmland. As I'm talking to you now, go and do planting in that place. Before, when you see yam, plantain, pepper, cocoa yam, in fact, you will even say you want to leave your white collar job and come and farm. But now, as I'm talking to you, it is not like that today. Go and look at our roof. Within 2-3 years, the roof has been destroyed by the gas flare. You cannot imagine those days with our fathers. They used to say this thing, we bought them so amount when we were not even born. But now it is not like that. Ghanaian women, they are neglected. The women there, they are suffering. Some people cannot even take their 3 square meals a day because of suffer. You see a community that has a gas flare, there is oil company in that place, and it is not supposed to be like that. The women are supposed to be empowered by the oil company that is in that place. The women are supposed to be trained by the oil company that is in that place. They need scholarship for their children. They need skills for their children. But all these things, as I'm talking to you, those things are not there. And even though they bring scholarship, you will see them diverting it here and there. I still have some evidence, and I have some people that have passed through training, which they have trained. They said they trained them, but they are not empowered. If you train somebody and you do not empower that person, how do you expect that person to meet up? What do you expect for that person to come and say you want to open shop or you want to start his or her own business? And that is not how it's supposed to be. As I'm talking to you, the women in Gelegele, they are suffering. We are crying. We are dying in silence. I cannot keep my mouth shut. No matter what it is, I will speak the truth. And that is the truth. The Bible says, ye shall know the truth. And when you know the truth, if you don't do it, you are sin against God. I'm telling you, the women in the Gelegele community are suffering. That is why we carry out a protest. And after even that protest, as I'm talking to you, we don't have light in that community. When we don't have light to cool our drinks, how do you expect us to sell? When we cannot sell, how do you expect us to pay our children's school fees? When we cannot sell, how do you expect us to even feed our children? Even as I'm talking to you, present now, some people are sick in that community because of that gas flare. The gas flare have given our ear death sickness. As I'm talking to you, there are some old men, even young men, that they cannot even hear well. How many years have I spent when I came back from Lagos? But as I'm talking to you, when you come to my house, you will see the window shaking like this. At first, when we come, the first year, second year, myself and my husband will be afraid. In the night, we even went to go and complain to the chairman that they are putting gun in our place. The chairman said, "Gun. Who are those people shooting gun? We don't know that it is the flare that is causing that thing that our windows are shaking." Why? Because the gas flare there, it has eaten up the head. The mother head is crying. Mother head is crying for mother head is crying for mother head needs to be. So as I'm talking to you, the women are neglected. Yeah. They are dying in silence. We cannot keep our mouth and we die in silence. That is why we are crying out. The government should look into this issue. There is a gas flare in the community, and yet things that are supposed to be done, they are not done. To carry out a protest that we need our life back. We need our slots. The women need their own share. But as I'm talking to you, nothing has been done. They come and make promises. All the promises they made, no one has been fulfilled. So as I'm talking to you, the women are not happy. And you know, as a mother of the house, if the mother is not happy, the house is not complete. Because the woman is the manager of the house. If the woman cannot manage the house well, let me say a home, not just a house. If the woman cannot manage the home very well, how do you think that the home will go for? From the home, you get to the society. And from the society to the states, to the nation, worldwide. So We are expecting the government to help us. Please, our community women, we are dying in silence, and we are expecting the government to help us. Thank you.
That was so touching. I don't know if any other person there was touched, but I think I was touched. If there's anything anybody wants to say, that's online. If you have one thing or two to say, please, can you signify by raising your hand as we go into this training? Because the Gelegele women, from their experience, you will see that they really need training. Are we together? Can you hear me?
Yeah. We
Okay.
are following.
We can hear you, Cynthia.
Thank you, ma. So you can see that these women, we need to build their resilience. They need to be trained so that they can be able to face. You heard our story. After a lot of sensitization, the Gelegele women took to the streets. Just like a week ago or 2 weeks back, and they actually demanded for climate justice. They demanded for their rights because they know it is their right to live in a safe environment. So without further ado, I'm going to be welcoming Chief Constant Neju, as you will be talking on one of the strategies for building climate resilience in communities. Let us clap our hands as Mommy Constant unmute. Mommy Constant, please unmute yourself, and then let's hear her introduce her strategy and as she talk on our strategy. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Chief.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and the Gelegele women have already kicked off this our discussion by giving us a true picture of what happens in the communities where oil and gas is being extracted. The impacts of climate change perpetuates and magnifies structural inequalities, such as those between women and men. And this is especially true in many parts of the world where women rely on climate-sensitive work like agriculture and manual labor to make a living. You heard our sisters. Agriculture is a mainstay occupation in Gelegele. Before they had pepper, they had cocoyam. They could feed themselves happily. They had cassava. But excess heat from glass flare has affected that. So climate change impacts women in many sectors. Women produce 60 to 80% of the food in developing countries, but frequent and severe droughts, flooding, and pest damage due to climate change is expected to reduce crop yields. In many societies, women have the primary responsibility for collecting water, firewood, putting food on the table. All these are tied to weather condition. Most marginalized groups in society are women, girls, rural dwellers, indigenous people, ethnic minorities, people with disabilities, migrants, and refugees. These are groups that are historically disempowered and oppressed by the influential and discriminatory groups. Being excluded by society, natural disasters like flood and unnatural disasters like pollution, war are drivers of marginalization. And you know that in times of crisis, these marginalized people are the least that policymakers worry about. We go back to Gelegele. Gelegele is an oil producing community. You would think that where the federal government derives oil money from will feel the impact of what is produced in that community. But you have seen that the reverse is the case. Rather than gain, the community people have lost. They've lost their livelihood. They've lost their health because it's not just Mother Earth that is not healthy. Because Mother Earth is not healthy, as our sister said earlier, the women are not healthy. And when women are not healthy, the family is not healthy. So climate change, which is extreme change in weather patterns, has been with us for a while now. But it has become more significant with the 2012 floods, especially here in the Niger Delta. Unpredictable rain seasons, dry spells, heat waves, sea rises, wildfire and their attendant effects on farming and fishing livelihoods, migration as a result of droughts and displacement from flooding, forcing people to leave their natural places to look for where it's more convenient, has become the new pattern of living for many in this country. And this comes with economic, health, and also other social implications which cannot be wished away, but need to be carefully examined and planned for to reduce the inherent harms and help the affected replan their lives for better living. That is why we are looking at strategies for resilience. Climate change resilience is therefore the ability to prepare for, to withstand, and recover from the challenges presented by climate change. Climate change affects gender, it affects communities differently. The way it affects the person in the north is not the way it affects the person in the south. We have seen that when the land dries up in the north, when the green grass is no longer there, they move their cattle down here, and that creates some friction. The same way when the fishes migrate, we cannot get fish from shallow waters, and people are forced to go for deep sea fishing, and sometimes they don't even get anything. And what happens? The men migrate and leave the women and the children, the sick and the old behind. So here in the Niger Delta, majority of the farmers are women, and the now annual flooding forces them to uproot their crops prematurely, while long-term uncleaned oil spill and soot from gas flare, as in the case of Gilegele, has so degraded the land that farm yield is very sickly, made worse by unpredicted weather conditions, and now attacked by pests. Women have said that they now have more pests disturbing their crops. So identifying with climate challenges are faced and the likelihood of their occurrence is a crucial step in determining how to build resilience. Climate resilience is the ability to prepare for the challenges, because it will be unfortunate if every year the disaster from climate change catches us unaware, unprepared. Identifying with climate change challenges involves community developing a resilience plan which outlines guidelines for preventing disaster impacts, preparing for those which cannot be prevented, and looking at ways to aid recovery. Many people who were displaced last year, they've not rebuilt their houses, who were displaced by flood, they've not rebuilt their houses, they've not been able to really go back to full farming. A lot are hungry. But if there are plans in place, this kind of harsh effects can be reduced. So it involves identifying those that are most vulnerable to climate change shocks. Which communities are flooded most? Which communities have their vegetation so dead that they cannot produce? It also includes arranging for necessary provision to safeguard their well-being, the implementation of a plan of action by community to address these problems, advocating for action from government and related agencies, And when I say government, I mean federal, state, local governments, as well as getting the offending companies, the oil companies, to put back by helping stem these effects of the climate change. And there's need to collaborate with people that are at risk. So a community resilience plan will cover preventing disaster reports, preparing for those which cannot be prevented, and looking at ways to aid recovery. It will also involve climate smart agriculture. Changing weather patterns mean we have to change the way we do our agriculture. We have to look for shorter crops that will be ready for harvesting before the flood, and also look for ways of prolonging the life of the ones like cassava that is important to us. What do we do? Because most times you just uproot prematurely, you just sell, and people buy and give away prices because they know you are in their need. But if we turn this into dry flour, we can store it and use so that we have enough food when the rains are gone. Sustainable Development Goals 9 to 13, they over around protection of the environment, because the environment is essential to all the SDG goals, including commitment to end hunger and extreme poverty. If we cannot produce, if the land is not healthy enough to feed us, if we cannot take care of ourselves from our livelihood, we will be poor, we will be hungry, and society will be worse for it. So there's need for new livelihood skills. We need to adapt more climate-friendly attitudes. Now let's look specifically at community-managed resilience. Nature-bound solutions have been found to be designed to address major societal challenges such as security, climate change, water security, human health, disaster risk, social and economic development. There's need for us to shift from ineffective and expensive government projects to community managed projects that are less costly and more effective and natural. Some states like Bayelsa, there are some things that the government tried to put up to address flooding. But from our interactions with the people, we found that those costly projects have not solved any problem. But natural solutions, because the people know the environment, they tend to serve better. When you look at the way that like fish now, you get some communities, they say, don't come and fish here for a certain period. It's a preservative method, so that when you now come, when it is time, the yield will be much and it will be useful to people. We have to change and diversify crops to better adapt to a changing environment and the associated risks. There are some things that don't produce well again, like cocoyam is gone. So we need to look for alternatives, things that we can feed on, that our soil can accept and that the weather will accept, because it's meaning using crops that you know that if there's no rain, or if the rain is too much, or if there is too much heat, they will not thrive. So we have to learn to understand this new weather and work around the weather. We have to learn to harvest rainwater, but that may not be for gele, because with so much soot in your water, harvesting water will not be the best thing. We also can keep the soil covered with organic matter so that it can retain moisture. So much heat on your land, if you put some grass, some plants to cover what you have planted, it will reduce the heat that is damaging. Now we need to get communities to assess their risks. Let every community look at what is really the challenge. Because when you do that, you cannot be able to develop ways to handle them. What operates for one community might not necessarily work for another community. We need to support community leadership to mobilize local resources and strengthen their systems of disaster to address local issues. There are some communities that flood, like Agbere in Bayelsa. I understand they developed their own way of stemming the water, so that instead of encroachment, they kind of bank. We need to look at that. Then we need to influence authorities, those in government, to highlight local issues at national planning forums, even international planning forums, ensuring that the most vulnerable get the needed help. We have earlier established that women and other less power groups suffer much from climate change. So all climate change actions and plans must build in their needs and interests. A major disadvantage suffered by this excluded group is non-representation in decision making. Those who know little or nothing about how climate change impacts their life decide what they need without reaching out to them. This has to change. The National Gender and Climate Action Plan provides for their participation in climate change plans and policy making. Education and poverty are also serious constraints that must be addressed, including expanding opportunities for women and other marginalized groups to access funds to build livelihoods and advance in education. Information is power, but persons in rural communities more affected by harsh climate change effects, since farming and fishing are their main livelihood sources, lack access to information on climate change, on health impacts, and smart agricultural practices. This gap also needs to be bridged. The state ministries of agriculture and local governments must show empathy towards this group and intentionally plan to help them reduce the damaging effect of climate change in order to avoid food insecurity. Sustained awareness education on climate change in the communities and how to address it with a gender sensitivity is important. Frequent flooding means that there is need to revisit our agriculture, adopt new crops, new planting seasons, acquire new livelihood skills to reduce the increasing poverty. This requires institutional support from government, the polluting oil companies, and other agencies. Lack of cleaner and cheaper energy sources will continue to pose a danger to our mangroves and forests. Tree planting, seedling nursery growing, value chain agriculture that addresses preservation, packaging, etc. should be taught to women, including homestead agriculture. Water is life. Niger Delta is surrounded by water, but 6 decades of oil and gas exploration has destroyed the health of the water bodies in the region, and by implication, the water sources of the people, exposing them to great danger. Government at all levels must therefore provide clean water sources for the people. According to the World Bank, only about 30% of Nigerians have access to potable water, and 140 million were without basic sanitation facilities in 2021. Water is important to our hygiene, and the poor disposal of human waste in our water bodies adds to environmental health hazards. So there is need for better waste management and an end to open defecation. Community women should be trained to track and monitor SDG projects in their domain to promote community and sustainable development. Individuals should practice more climate and environmentally friendly practices. Keep the drains clean, save the waterways from plastics, consume reasonably, and maintain healthy habits. A culture of tree planting and promotion of biodiversity will help gradually rebuild the earth, and in turn, nature will heal us. By restoring and safeguarding ecosystems on land and in the sea, we'll be helping plants and animals to build climate resilience. Nature, in turn, can help us regulate the climate, give us clear, safe water, control pests and diseases, and pollinate our crops for better yield. If we give, we get. It is important, therefore, that the Nigerian government begins to reduce fossil fuel exploration activities so that communities can breathe. Let us all commit to healing the wounded earth so that our tomorrow will be healthy and happy. Thank you. Are you still with me?
Thank you, Chief Constant, for that
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm very sure the women heard what you just told them. If there's anyone that have a question, please keep your question and for the Constance, and she'll get back to you. Then without wasting time, let's call on Dr. Ofo to give us one of the strategies for building climate resilience in extractivism. Dr. Ofo, you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, they can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank the coordinator of GWEDO for this opportunity to make this presentation. And from the little sharing that your community women did, I've also seen that GWEDO have really empowered the women. And I was asking myself, if that is the case, what am I going to come and tell these women again? My presentation is going to be I'm presenting on empowering women and marginalized community for climate resilience. And I know that the women I'm meeting today are already well empowered, but I still need to tell them something. Before I continue, I would like us to look at, it's important to understand some keywords so that we can really appreciate why it's necessary to empower the women and the marginalized communities for climate resilience. Now, some of these selected words are like climate. As we all know, is the general weather over a long time, and weather occurs from day to day, hourly, the changes that we see daily from the major difference between the weather and the climate is just the time frame, the time scale. In terms of climate change, what do we understand by climate change? It is a long time shift in temperature and weather pattern. And this shift can be through natural or artificial activities. But we all know that, especially at the Niger Delta region, in which the Gelegele community is one of the communities that is mostly affected, as even the women have said in their sharing. We have seen a lot of changes that is happening because of the impact of this climate change, because of the environmental, the pollution that is going on there due to the oil production and other activities of the oil, the flaring and so on. These have really impacted the environment, the river, the farmlands, causing a lot of issues in our environment. So, but this is a situation that we are being faced, and we all understand and we know. But the question next is for us to know what is climate resilience, because this is the only way we can help ourselves. Climate resilience is just a way of trying to cope and manage the impact of this climate change, while we see a way to try to prevent this impact from getting worse. And that is why we are always calling on the government all the time to see a way how the oil companies can do the needful, do things rightly to avoid continuous polluting of the environment. Because the more the environment is being polluted, the more these climate issues will get worse, and which is not good for our communities. It's not good for environment. Just as the women shared, it has caused a lot of harmful effects. They did mention so many, and even the things they were doing out of ignorance without knowing, like trying to dry their crops using the flare and so on. So this is opportunity for us to prepare, because we all know that the oil activities is still going on. That is to show that this impact will continue if it is not done properly. And we have seen a situation, we have seen the situation of the Niger Delta, that even every day, these problems are now trying to see how to even clean the environment and to restore the environment back. Instead, a lot is still, they are still doing a lot in the process of trying to produce more oil, and this environment is more impacting, is being impacted daily. So that is why we need to see how we can prepare, try to see how we can even recover from even the damage that it has already been done, and adapt to the situation that we are finding ourselves, because that is the only way we can help ourselves. Now, what do we understand by marginalization? It's very, very necessary for us to understand this. It's just the treatment of a person or group, seeing somebody as being insignificant. And we all know that that is the way the companies are seeing our people. What the right of the people is not being given to the people. Common employment is very difficult to give employment to our people. So they see us as being insignificant. They don't even care to know how we are feeling. We cannot even claim or get access to basic facilities or services in the community, despite the fact that they are using, they have exploited so much from the community, they have made so much money, but they cannot even help out the community people. So you can see that there is social exclusion when it comes to people within our communities. This is the situation of our community people. And I know that the Gelegele women are faced with this situation, in which some of the women rightly said this at the beginning. Now, since we have seen that this is a situation, what do we think we can do next to help our people is just to empowerment. Now, what do we understand by empowerment? It's just the process of becoming stronger, more confident in what you do, in controlling one's life, and also claiming your rights, trying to gain your freedom and power so that you know what to take and what not to take. If they tell you do this, you can answer them, oh, this is my right. I know the right decision to take. No, I cannot tell my child to collect just 10 naira because it's for settlement. Instead of taking this money for settlement, please empower my child by giving he or she education. And that is the only way that can help things. We cannot continue to be collecting all this small money. Let's try to see a way they can do tangible things for our people, that can remain with our people, that our people can now use to at least take care of themselves in the nearest future. So having said that, let's look at why is it important for us to empower our women on these climate issues. We have heard that there is a transition from, very soon we are going to transit from the oil to the gas for greener environment. But, and I know that most of our community people feel that the oil will be there forever, trying to see how to still bargain with the companies so that they can get things right, they can get some settlements from the companies. But unfortunately, very soon, we will not be talking about oil again. We are transforming to gas, and it's a global thing. So since it's a global thing, Nigeria cannot be left out. And since Nigeria cannot be left out, that means it is now good for every of us, our women, to be prepared, and even for our community people to be prepared of what is coming before us. And since we have seen that this is the situation, we have to empower our people. What are the ways that we feel we can empower our women? What are the ways that we feel we can empower the marginalized community that we are finding ourselves? And the Gelegele women and the people are among these people. The only way out, one of the ways, is to educate our children. There is need to educate. No matter what is happening, let our children go to school. Let the young people go to school. Let's forget about the settlement. Settlement will not help. Let's go to school, because if you go to school, at the end of the day, when you have your certificate, you can be assured that you have a job, at least a good job. So that by the time they said there are no more in the communities, the oil companies have packed their things and they're all from the communities, our people will now have know what to do, where to get a little thing back. So let's try and make sure that our children are being educated. If they are educated, they can get jobs anywhere, not necessarily in their communities. They can go out, and if they're educated, they can even train more people. That even those ones that you are still going to the river, even the polluted rivers to take fishes and all that, they can train all people not to do that again. Because why were the women doing all these things? Because they were not learned to know that all these things were dangerous to their health. So there is need for to educate our people, the young ones. Even our women can still be educated. So to go to school, education is very, very key. It's very, very important. Another thing is that when we are being educated, there's tendency to have good jobs. There's tendency to have good jobs. And we know that even the jobs now in Nigeria is not really helping because of the economy. You see that some people that are even working are even crying too. The money is not enough for them. So since this is the case, what do we need to do? There is need to also engage with multiple streams of incomes. And how can we engage with these multiple streams of incomes? By going through skill acquisition, supporting small business. Let's invest in business. And if our women or any of us is doing business, try and encourage that person. Buy from he or she, invest in the business. So that it's not because your child is in school that you feel that because when you are a graduate, you are already made. No. Yes, you are a graduate. With your education, you can.
Thank you, Dr. Ofon. That was a good one, Dr. Ofon. Can we please give a clap, a round of applause for Dr. Ofon? Dr. Ofon, thank you very well. The Gelegele women, they have heard you. They said, Dr. Ofon says our children should be educated, because by so doing, since you as the women in Gelegele, they have the opportunity to go to school so that you'll be able to know your rights. But thank God that GWEDO and the training you are having today is opening your eyes. So there is need for us to educate our children. Thank you, Dr. Ofo, for that
Not
word.
your children, yourselves too.
So without wasting time, we are going to be calling on our third speaker to tell us about one of the strategies for building climate resilience in the community. And we are going to be welcoming Mr. Cadmus to give us. Mr. Cadmus, please, you have less than 10 minutes to talk to the women. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes,
I have just been saddled with the responsibility of talking about strengthening coastal communities against climate change impacts. Well, so far, a lot have been said about climate change and what it means and the impact it has on community people. But for my own end, I want to look at it from the angle of coastal communities. When we talk about coastal communities, we talk about communities that are located in coastal environments that are located around rivers, seas, oceans, and other water bodies. And the livelihood and the source of living for such a people comes from their environment, comes from the coastal environment, the rivers, seas, and oceans, as it may be seen in their community. And climate change is very, very impactful in these communities. In fact, when we talk about climate change impacts, we look more on, we see it more on coastal community people than those that are dwelling more on higher grounds. Why? Because coastal community people are the ones that have been faced with the threats of climate change more, such as when you talk about ozone surge, you talk about sea level rising, you talk about flooding, you talk about erosions, you talk about hurricanes and all that. Though we are lucky not to have hurricanes in Nigeria that much, but believe you me, there is hurricane going on in Nigeria, in coastal environment in Nigeria. I have been kind of privileged to experience a severe hurricane in one of the coastal communities across the Atlantic Ocean. That should be last year. I think that is Focados, precisely Ogborodo community in Focados. I was there for a field work on climate change issues, and and we were welcomed by hurricane storms. I experienced it in Focados. I experienced similar thing in Ogulaha community. So these are things that happen in our coastal communities, but nobody hears about it because these communities are cut off from the township. They are cut off from the powers of leadership and all that. So these are things that affect community people. And as it is, community people in coastal environments have over time built resilience to these things, built their own, like the fourth speaker talked about resilience and how community people have been able to build resilience against impacts of climate change. Yes, community people, especially those in coastal environments, have built resilience over time against these issues, against climate change impacts on their lives. Though some of them might not know what it is called, or what the phenomenon is all about, but they have ideas that the climate, the weather has changed from what it used to be to something else that they cannot understand, that they cannot explain. But they just know that something is happening in their coastal environment. So, going by this, globally, we've known that about 1.3 billion people live in tropical coastal regions across the world. And majority of these coastal dwellers rely on fishing for food security and employment. So going further, small-scale fishers engage nearly 90% of all the fishing activities that goes on globally. And all the trading that has to do with marine activities, marine coastal environment and all that are being done by coastal community people. Is it the processing of fish, boat making, net making, and all that? They are done by coastal environment people, people living in coastal environment. And one major thing is skin in this environment. The women are actually very, very impacted when there are climate crises. Women are very, very impacted because they are most times at the forefront of the dangers of climate change impacts. They are the ones that wash, they are the ones that do the house cleaning, they are the ones that does a lot of things in the house. So they are mostly impacted, and it's disheartening. Another factor that faces coastal community aside climate change is extractive activity. Thank God we have the Gelegele women here in our midst today, and they have actually explained and talked about their experiences. I for one, have been privileged to be in Gelegele community, and the first time I got to that community, I shed tears because the gas flare they talk about is not just situated somewhere by the corner of the community, but right in the middle, right in the heart of the community where you have people living with pollution, living with soot, living with polluted waters, living with dead crops, living with chemicals in their water, in their drinking water. And funny enough, this community doesn't even have sinking boreholes that are made for the community consumption. The major thing that was put there that people can relate with is a police station or a coast guard police station by the shores of the river. But those are not what the people want. Extractive companies have caused a lot of harm to community people in coastal environments across Nigeria, coupled with the impacts of climate change. So community people are really faced with the impacts of climate change. So I will just go to the business that of the day that have brought me to speaking in this People's Assembly today. And it talks about ways to strengthen coastal communities against climate change impacts. What are the ways? First and foremost, it is very, very sacrosanct that for a people to be helped, for a people to have justice, for a people to be able to come out of their struggles, they must understand the issues of climate change and extractive activities as they are related in their coastal environment. Identification of the issues that are harming and hurting the people is very key in strengthening coastal communities, people against climate change impact. The people, first and foremost, must understand what the impact, what climate change is, what the impact is upon their life, and the contribution of extractive activities to climate change impact. That is one of the strengthening angles. They must be strengthening to understand these issues. Secondly, there must be constant interactive community engagement, dialogues, training for community people, most especially for women who are the most vulnerable ones. Thank God the second speaker here today spoke on the issues of women empowerment, community people empowerment. Yes, community people know about the issues of changing in weather, changing in the climate, but they don't know the concept, the rudiment, and what causes these changes. So they must know what causes these changes. And how will they know? We are the ones to strengthen their capacity as CSOs, as NGO people, as individuals. We are the ones to educate these people, constantly interacting with them, having interactive community engagements with them, dialogues, trainings, train these people on these issues. Most especially, create time out also to talk with the women, bring out trainings on their health, their mental health, their physical health, their welfare, their well-being. These people must have these things. These are strategies to strengthening community people. By the time you are able to have interactive community engagement with them, they'll be able to open up more to the impact that they are feeling. And by so doing, we'll be able to have time and be able to strategize more on how to push for their survival and their adaptive measures that suit their purposes. Going further in strengthening coastal communities, we must ensure that we have regular community support and intervention to address climate change impact crises on their environment. It's not enough to organize seminars. It's not enough to organize people's assemblies. It's not enough to go to the communities, carry out documentaries, interview the people and all that. When these people are faced with crisis, we need to strengthen the community people physically. They said an hungry man is an angry man. When a man is hungry, no matter what you tell the man, he will not be able to understand or adapt to what you're saying until you feed him. So the best place to get into a man's heart is to feed him. Is to feed him. So that's the best place to get into community people, to strengthen them. You need to provide community support, interventions to address the impact of climate change. Most times when climate change crisis occurs, you have to go into the deep, take out your time, sacrifice your time to see these people. If it's bags of pure water you want to support them with, you support them with pure water. If it's food stuff, you support them. I remember last year when there were crises in flood crisis as a result of the climate change impact that affected about 34 communities in Nigeria. We selected some communities that we work with as an organization, Health of Mother Foundation. We empowered these people. We gave them food stuff. We gave them some needed materials, mosquito nets, and some other things. During the crisis, even those persons that were at the IDPs, we provided something for them. So next time that we go into these communities, we will always be seen as part and parcel of the community. So that is an avenue to strengthen coastal community people against climate change impact. We need to support them and intervene, create intervention. Intervention methods, strategies, and mechanisms must be put in place by CSOs, by individuals, and by government officials working with coastal community people to strengthening them against the impacts of climate change. More so, we need to build bridges between community and policymakers. That is another way of strengthening community people. This builds their confidence and power structure to take up individual actions at all times. When the people are not strengthening, they are not linked up with their policymakers, their confidence are not built. They cannot stand to take action. They cannot. They say a knowledgeable man is a man that can fight for himself. But if you are ignorant, you cannot fight for yourself. So we need to build the community, build bridges between community and policymakers, educate the community people, and build their confidence in the system and in the structure. Also, in addition, we need to create networks, build networks, alliances for resistance, and join them in advocacy drives. We need to help these people to build networks, to link like-minded community people together. So we need to link them, build network alliances, and join them in advocacy drives, help them in their advocacy. That is what we need to do. Also, we need to give community people the needed spaces to interrogate and implement policy that relates to their environment. community people have local knowledge that we in the CSO space and in the NGO space, we don't have. That is why we have dialogues, and we need to have dialogues and constant interaction with them so that we can harness the knowledge they have, interrogate this knowledge, and join them in using this knowledge to interrogate and influence policies that relate to coastal environment across Nigeria. By so doing, we must have been able to strengthen coastal communities against climate impacts. And lastly, we need to start carrying coastal community people along to our settings, both locally, nationally, internationally, and otherwise. Let them speak and interact with others of like mind. Let them meet up with people, policymakers, high-level, high-powered people across the globe. And when we are going to high-powered meeting like COP, African Climate Week and all that, we should find way to make provisions for community people to share their stories. By so doing, we are strengthening community power against climate change impacts. So I have to conclude now. In conclusion, community people are faced more with the impact of climate change. However, we must stand in solidarity with them to ensure that we provide urgent, sustainable solutions to the impact of climate change on coastal community people, fishers, traders, and the young ones.
Thank you, Cardinal.
We must build power from below. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cadmus. We really appreciate you. Without wasting time, as you have heard him, there is need for collaboration. There is need for networks to engage with these communities, to continue to sensitize them so that they will have awareness, more awareness of climate change. Thank you. Now we are going to be calling on Princess Moore. Princess Moore, you have 5 minutes to give us one strategy.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Princess.
Okay. I want to especially greet all the coaches and mentors in the house. I understand the ED of Kebekache is there. Please, can we give her a round of applause? And I've also heard that Chief Constant is there with us. Please, can we give her a round of applause? And can we give the Gele Gele women a round of applause? And can we give Cynthia a round of applause for doing this? It's most commendable. Having said that, I wrote a 7-page presentation here, but listening to all what has been said already, I have to cut it very short and then look at the areas that concerns me directly, which is building resilience through sustainable water management. Water is life, as we all know, and all across the world, people are crying for scarcity of water. Because of climate change and its effects, the world is crying for water. About 26 billion people around the world don't have access to safe drinking water. This is SDG report 2022, just last year. And water scarcity, and these numbers are expected to increase by climate change and population growth. You know, we are still growing, we are still producing. So we'll have this problem with us for a long time. So what do we do? What can we do to have this water solution? Let me just jump through the solution because so much has been said already about the climate change and the resilience. What can we do to cope? First, we need knowledge, we need information. When we have information on time, it will help us to plan, relocate, reframe our minds, and also resource when we have information on time. But when we don't have information on time, it will take us unawares. The sea level is rising. It's projected to extend salinization, thundering, decreasing fresh water, advantageously for humans and cash crops. So the sea level is rising. The sea that used to protect us. When the sun came, the heat, the sea level will protect us from not allowing us, the heat to meet us. That sea level is declining. And now we have a lot of things that are coming out from the sea to affect us, like diseases, like pests. So what do? We need information. And this information is power. Information is key to our sustainability and resilience. We need information about the crops we need to plant. I went to my farm yesterday and I saw that the okra, the leaves have become all yellow. Why is it like that? Because of climate change. I didn't have enough information on time. Maybe I wouldn't have planted that species if I had done enough research, because the things that was affected before, I changed it. But on this, I did not have enough information. So it affected my productivity. So that is what we need to know. Have the kind of things that when you plant in your community, you can survive. It can help you and your family. Don't depend too much on government. Depend on yourself, because that capacity is in you. Government can provide enabling environment, but after that, what? Some government don't even provide the enabling environment. So what? Are you going to die because there's no enabling environment? You have to look for a way to survive, and that's called resilience. Since the whole world is crying for water, since the whole world is crying for fresh access to drinking water, safe drinking water, what should we do as community people? Let us look at, can we pump water? Can we store water? Can we increase energy efficiency? Can we invest in nature? Can we plant trees? Can we do the things around us that can protect us? Can we stop dumping waste anyhow? Can we as individuals take the responsibility to make sure that everything that we do is climatized to our climate? Can we do this? Can we stop blaming people and passing blames that we ourselves are even creating? Sometimes we create these problems by not adhering to strict environmental instructions. You know, even we dump things in the sea because we think the water will carry it away. And before you know it, the water brings it back into the community. Even around us here, we also pass waste into the drainage system. And before you know it, the whole place, when it rains like it's about to rain now, everywhere is littered. And where does it go? It goes back to us in the community. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Gele Gele women, my coaches and mentors, I want the Gele Gele women to take this, what they are doing today, as a policy document. The policy document that will help them to engage with government. Peradventure, when they are doing the policy, they might not invite you. But when this document gets into their hand, maybe one person might say, let us look at what the women has written. Maybe they might pick up one or two things from your document and make it a policy. This afternoon, I just saw something on our page, and I said, yes, we started this long time ago, even before the government made it fit to give us a VAP document. We went to different communities to educate people, create awareness, tell them it's not good to have violence. So we also have climatic violence in our midst. The government is not helping. I can say it. The government will only look for what they will share, divide and rule and go to their houses. How many times have we spoken to government and what have they done? How many times have we spoken to the community people? How many times have we spoken to the people that are drilling in our communities? What have they done? So we women must take this policy document that Gelegele is doing today into the government. Let it reach government, make plenty copies. Circulate it among people, among the government officials. So this early warning will help us. This is early warning. It will help us. Last year, we saw what happened at the community we went to. People were displaced. Why? They did not have information on time, and the water took them unawares. The flood, it causes hunger, it causes disease, it causes so many things. It causes poverty. The women are crying. The women are not happy. It causes food insecurity. It causes abject poverty. It causes hunger, disease. Everything that has to do with women. Since women are the frontliners in everything, it also causes high mortality rate, death, malnutrition, crime, and insecurity. Women, since we have started this today, kudos, but let it not stop here. Whoever is listening will hear us, but make copies of this document, make it your policy document, and circulate it to those that can hear and that can make policies that will affect women in the future. It might not be today, but we can do it. My take home now is, number one, the 3 R's. There's something called the 3 R's. You reinforce. R number 1. You restate. R number 2. And then you reclaim. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I have been able to manage my small time, and then I have passed on the information you need. Thank you.
That was a good one. That clapping is too small for her. She has told us we must be involved as individual women. We must know where we must avoid indiscriminate waste disposal. And according to her, if you are not informed, you will be deformed. And once you are informed, you must be proactive to take action so that at the end of the day, you will not regret it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Princess Moore. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a question, but because of time, there's a question for you. And the question
Let me take it. Let me take it, please.
How does climate change affect gender-based violence?
In 2020, everybody was locked down in their homes. And we saw that violence was in the increase because people couldn't go out and there were a lot of fighting, a lot of exchange of hard words. So climate change can do this too for us. If you stay and you are poor, you are a woman, you used to go out and fetch for yourself and your children. And then suddenly there is a climate problem that you cannot go out. And now you begin to look up to the man that you never, looked up to him. The man might not understand your predicament. It may cause violence. Your insistence of asking, oh, maybe today give me this, tomorrow give me that, when he's not ready, his mind was not made up for that. You used to be up and doing, but now you are depending on somebody. That person might not have, and you might not understand because you have a need. That need needs to be solved. So this can cause crisis. This can cause violence in families. So we need to avoid it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You heard that it is possible for climate change to cause gender-based violence. Like you, that is a fisherwoman in the community, and now the river is polluted, and you cannot be able to meet anything like before. You want to depend on the man, and the man also does not have anywhere to get money. What happens? It will be chaotic. So it can actually cause gender-based violence. Okay, our mother in the house, her hands are up. You can unmute, ma, and say what you want to say, so we'll continue. Thank you, ma. You can bring your hands down, then unmute.
Yeah. Okay. I want to appreciate all the speakers for the excellent presentation. My contribution is to add to what Princess said in response to the question, how climate change is causing gender-based violence. There are a lot of things. In fact, part of the effects of gas flaring is that it affects the central nervous system, and it also causes emotional instability. This causes problems and conflict and misunderstanding within the home and also within the community. So it brings misunderstanding between couples, and it results in violence. So somebody who is emotionally unstable will not reason to understand the other person's point of view. Another thing is also that climate change destroys livelihood. It causes poverty. It causes health challenges. And this adds additional burden on the family. It adds additional burden on women. It adds additional burden on men. And this will definitely result in misunderstandings within the home. And because of patriarchal practices, this will result in gender-based violence. Most often gender-based violence, women are the victims. I know there are also exceptional incidents where people say men are also victims of gender-based violence. So if we look at our own circumstances and all the presentations by the speakers, definitely climate change, oil extraction activities causes problems and violent conflict within our families, within the communities, and even the entire country. If we look at the Niger Delta, we've been living with different dimensions of violence, issues of militancy, issues of land grabbing, issues of extraction, people trying to benefit from the oil, artisanal refining. All these things contribute to violent conflict, and it results in gender-based violence. That is what I wanted to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Please have mental issues due to gas flaring, the heat wave, and all. It can change your emotional and make you emotionally imbalanced. And it can also result to anger and make you to react unnecessarily. So that was a good one. And somebody just contributed here that forced early marriage and trafficking in some communities, climate-induced challenges like crop failures and food insecurity can lead to families marrying off their daughters at an early age as a coping mechanism. Thank you, Jacob. That was a good one. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Then, without wasting time, we are going to be calling on Glory. Glory, you have 5 minutes to give us strategies for climate resilience in community. Thank you. Glory, unmute yourself. Let's hear you. Let's welcome Glory. Let us welcome her. Glory, are you there? Okay, if we can't get Glory, please, can we welcome Grace Obakina before Glory comes in? Let's welcome Grace. Are you there? Unmute yourself and let us hear from you. Thank you.
little, please.
And pay their school fees. Where to be able to see whether they live on in the area where we are having this climate migration, and they will not be able to bring back results, and the family will begin to suffer. Now, I'm just going to look at how do we build resilience. The simple thing of that object, so how you can take cope for this natural problem when they're before us, when you and I don't get solution about. If you hear all the speakers, they keep talking about it has been, it will be, and it will remain. But man must survive. How do we survive in this reality? Number one, as a farmer, what for our tell one word is a get information. I always tell us say the technology does say when you get. You think you can use the whole world to where you sit down. When you begin new information, when the one that we know about climate change, about agro extension, about this technology, about my farm, about my fishing, about the bush where I live. Because this is not the but many of us they see they burn our bush. And all of these things they don't want to make our environment, they go down the law. And when you want to go to the city, now what are we supposed to do? Number one, we should get information. How we want to get information, we want to be operate. We get children when they start to operate. Our topic we say, how do we choose resilience? How do we gather our body? Take this challenge. When God so we don't get solution, but we must survive. So when we get this information, we don't hear and say, why when we sit in the tunnel? What time of fly past the bridge? When government creates. So you know what I'm supposed to do this period. I'm not going to stand for that place. Because if I spend a little time, I don't plan for that place. When rain comes, it will wash that thing away. So when you want some for that period.
Good afternoon. I want to go to that.
When I say not to tell you here, that water will cross. Now, another reason why you must get information. They don't sign another contract to another area company. When one can work from an area. You and that other company that you will get back. Definitely, every time they do something, there must be OSP. And when you know all the money when you gather, when you say go buy cloth, when you say go buy net, when you say go buy pot, when you want to do something for them, everything will do what you go waste. There is power in information. Then number two, be persistent in whatever you do. I feel like you don't want to say go to protest. I did. After that protest, oneness. Now, message, now the one part. As you get that information, I'm coming back after the protest. After that protest, not to say, hey, yeah, we are committee, we will be 5, we will be 6, we will be 7, we will be 10. We may not be the head of this community. When we know they're not one, when they come together, when they sit down, when they partner with GWEDO. We don't bring the information of God. Make them right as a community. These are not brave women. If men will not carry their hand just for that paper, they will not tell government because most time when we talk, when we don't get good evidence and documentation, government will take us serious. But we need to know right for paper. There is evidence to prove. They are thinking they beat us. We don't see that for our house. We carry the matter come with you. And this is the evidence. When we take off, when I write one, no response. When I write two, no response. When I write three, no response. When I get every right to go back to social media, new and old print, when I want to say, the problem when we go through, we don't write this government and they gonna try this fight. But if you just do only this rally, you don't go inside house. Solution will come. What are the answer you might not want to hear what I talk? Solution will come. So after you don't do that persistence, you will go and do follow-up. And after follow-up, if any result comes, you will put down. Then because they when you are carrying out this rally, you are not meet the head of community. Anytime when any company, what are looking? What are leaders are looking? Anytime when any company comes to a place, if they want to sign letter, then when the community don't get information, they don't just want to look at the money collect. Then when they say, okay, if I have set up this place, what are these so space? Between our community and the place where this company one day you know why? So that when the thing happens, it don't go fit directly. Affect that all before I go to fix them, we are going to find alternative place. Number 3, you must learn to relax your mind. It is a strategy. You know the people president when you know the both mentally and physically relaxed and balanced. And that is why for every woman who is down for here, no matter how you stress yourself, not be your stress will give you solution. On top of that stress, maybe they die. The reason why they die because they know they think before they act. So one step of president, we say, before you want to take any step of business, you want to family, you want to victory, you want to build a house, you want to buy land, you go think, you go plan, you go ask questions so that you know the fall a victim. And lastly, you must get what we call savings. You must know what you are going. Yes. Every money when you get for your business and for that farm, when you don't save because of any day, not that many people know they get this place. Because if you feel put something for somewhere, and any emergency come, whether water, whether just, whether fire, whether oil, you can fix this something, take start for the new place where you want to relocate. Number 1, I talk about what? Who will you remember? How many things I said with the residents when you need to bring that information? What do you know they ask? What do you know? Tell somebody. Now that they say if you hear something, you will do wrong. The reason why you must say something is that if you don't let everybody when they around you know, only you will suffer. Because they consider you own too much. Not only you Sabina, but if you let them know, we are going to come together and go work. Then number 2, I said I'm waiting. You must continue for that to when you say you want to. As we said, they must go to for this class there. This financial way where our community is so delegated. We know they just do our once began. We go until one solution will come. Then number 3, I talk about what? I talk about you must learn to relax. You must learn to give yourself mental and physical balance. Because if you don't get rest your mind, if you don't get rest your body, if your mind not get in order, you know the food come out. And the last one, I talk about savings. One thing where if you build all these residents, they do for you. I know the food talk when I don't talk about you. Because I'm here, that the all of us. Because when they talk, if the money matter, you dey support. Your children when they look at them, they say, you don't go inside the ask Papa. When if Papa no get to, Mama no go support. It will give you that financial. It will make you a very family. When poverty they tell people, everywhere see household, you will see the gather. Then lastly, I want beg us. Say the quickest way we already find to take care of things. It won't be the best way. Now that a lot of us, even those who will say, that moment that you want to try. For that you don't push. But because the quick try, you will bring your customer from market. You will make your get well now, you go to her. Not say the damage when they go for you for tomorrow, it will be bad. That's not only when you want me. And that's why they say penny wise, pound foolish. So to end my message this morning, when we then take enter afternoon, now we say, now we want to take us for today. Forget the danger and disadvantage when they come up. So as women, as rural people, as community dwellers, then we know say our church. When we come out, that's not a degree. We don't get the solution today. Then we get home. Say to take center. That's it when you chest out. When you take raise your shoulder, you say, I stand calmly. Now you need your presence. Change my mind, go presence. And the second one of my book of heart say, I don't that word. What be resilience? Resilience for us people for preaching, I mean, okay, she. How you fittest stand, give it back. Let's face this problem when they face you, and you will fit provide solution, even without government assistance. So that when government come join, it will come be added bonus, it will come be advantage to you. This is what I have to say because we have spoken a lot of English, and I just want to come back to the other. That's why I don't know my own. Thank you so much. Praise the Lord. As you can see, in the next 2 minutes, I just want us to see the slide to see how the GWEDO women protested for their rights in the community. We don't know anything concern. Women don't know anything concern. Can you hear it, please? Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can see.
Please, can you hear it? Those online, can
Yes,
you hear this?
We can see the slide. We can.
Women don't know anything concern. Food supply, nothing. No source for women. No water supply. No water supply. This source supply, nothing. Even the restaurant. That was protest from the GWEDO women demanding their rights. Now, without further ado, we'll still play a slide. I just want to call on my mentor, the woman that has made me to be who I am, that has built my capacity, that has given me the boldness to walk into GWEDO community without fear or favor, to meet with the elders and to tell them the way it is. I am going to call on my mentor, Chief As I'm calling her name, just be clapping for this woman. In fact, I call her my mother. She's an angel that was sent to Niger Delta to open the eyes of the women in Niger Delta. I'm going to call on my madam, Chief Bridget, to wrap up. Ma, with all due respect, unmute and talk to us as your women.
Thank you, Cynthia. And thank you, the women from GWEDO community. And once again, I want to appreciate all the speakers and everyone that created time to join this session. A lot of things have been said, but as an individual, I'm very happy that GWEDO has been able to hold this session. It takes a lot of courage and creativity to be able to hook up to an online event. This event is part of the African People's Counter Cup And I was very impressed when I saw the flyer that GWEDO is holding this session. This session is supposed to be, in fact, people from all over Africa were supposed to join this session. The coordinator of the African Climate Justice Collective had joined, though she had left because the Countercop is a program of the African Climate Justice Collective. What that means is that GWEDO has keyed into a regional platform. And by holding this event, GWEDO has created a space for herself within the African Climate Justice Collective. I don't know how many women organizations are doing this in Africa. The Countercop is going to last for a period of 2 weeks. It started on Monday, 18 September. It's going to be concluded on the 29th of September. In fact, from Sunday, 24th of September, we are going to host delegates from some African countries in the Women Climate Assembly. The Women Climate Assembly is part of the African People's Countercop. So you see why I am particularly impressed that GWEDO was able to be part of this regional event. Let's forget the fact that it is online, but it shows that being online, a lot of people all over Africa and possibly all over the world will be viewing, even if they have not joined, they will view the video that women in a community, Gele community, were part of this event. This is very commendable.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma.
And by being part of this, you have amplified the issues in your community. And you have not spoken to those of us that joined this program. What you have said will also be projected at the United Nations Cup that will hold in December. So you have succeeded. So you have succeeded in registering your advocacy and the issues and the fact that gas flaring is right inside your community. That is something we should project because that gas flaring should go off. It is dangerous to the health of people that are even far away from Gele, talk less of people that are within the community, and the flare point is inside that community. So part of the agenda will be that the corporation that is operating in that community should switch off that gas flaring. That will be part of our campaign. And that will also be part of the campaign of leaving the oil in the soil. If they cannot do it in a neat way, then they should stop extracting the oil from the community. If all these problems the women have projected, if they cannot address it, then they should not take oil from the community. That is what it means. The voices of the women are powerful, and I appreciate all of you for making this program very successful. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ma.
Let's give our mama 3 closer.
I just want to thank you. I just want to appreciate today the courage she has given to me, the mentorship that she has given to me is what I cannot even explain. And because she has also mentored me and built capacity.
Before you, not pick for them, before you. They supposed to understand, say I did. After I don't talk.
For women,
they say I did.
Stuff and all that. It's also the company that are doing there. Why? How can we be suffering in our own community when God has blessed us? Do you understand? Why are we going to no, it's operation. People who supply all the way. People supply. Will stand at least around you. There will be no war until the minister. We are not saying the military people will say, we are not putting anybody who says, but all we are saying, no war until the minister our demand. That's
But we don't know anything concerned. Women don't know anything concerned. Food supply, nothing. No source for women. Pure water supply. Hot water supply. Diesel supply, nothing. Even the grocery
That was the Gele protest. I want to use this video to thank as many as possible. This one will be successful. I want to appreciate. I also appreciate Muhammad. And I am just a co-host. So I also want to thank the Gele women for taking out time out of your business. I want to appreciate the IIC units for the great work there. And I also want to thank all those that were part of to make this successful carry out. I say thank you. I want to appreciate free media. I want to also appreciate KEDE. That is the national point, and all the media team that are here. And so we are going to be taking a media action, and we are saying we demand Are we together? And those that are online, please join us to take this action, if you don't mind. We are taking action. We, the women of the Gelegele community, we say we demand climate justice, and we call on the relevant stakeholders, the Ministry of Environment, the government, our international NGOs, the national bodies, to join us to make Gelegele to be the same Gelegele it used to be, because our environment has been downgraded, our environment has been polluted, and we are all saying we want climate justice.
Climate justice.
Thank you.
Justice.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma. And so we are going to end this meeting. Thank you so much. I don't know, can we on our cameras so that we'll see ourselves? Let us on our camera, please. Can we on our cameras?
Well done, Cynthia.
Yes, ma.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma.
It says you have gone international now. Edie, you don't have big picking. Yes, so congratulations.
Oh, I didn't know I'm married. You taking the photo. For the Women Assembly. Okay.
Mommy MM, I would love to be part of the Women's Assembly.
Oh,
I want.
sorry. Positive exclusion. Next year or next event, you'll be part of it. I've taken note of that. Cadmus. Veronique sends her greetings.
Okay, well, my regards to her as well.
Okay.
She's going to be around, right?
Yeah, she's already here. She came yesterday.
Wow, that's great.
You can see her.
I can't see you.
Hello.
You're feeling her.
Welcome to Nigeria.
Okay, I'm using the earpiece. Sorry, she can't hear. You're eating it like rice. But it looks good eating it like that. I was joining.
I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I will be around for Fonisho's wedding by God's grace.
Okay, we are in
Yes.
Lagos.
Okay,
Yes,
Lagos at the moment. Okay. I thought you were hosting in Port Harcourt.
No, this
Okay,
time we
yes.
didn't go to Port Harcourt. I need to send somebody to attend that wedding. I have to send somebody.
Okay. I thought you people were holding it in Lagos, in Port Harcourt.
No, it's Lagos.
Okay, it's fine. No wahala.
Yeah.
My regards to everybody. Is Umo coming?
Yes, Umo is coming. Umo will arrive today.
Okay. My regards to everybody. Well done.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.